Okay, so money saving tips. I couldn't wait any longer to give you some of these. Um, Basically, the idea here is to simplify your life. This is not only going to help you avoid spending money, but it will also help reduce a lot of stress and upkeep that you have to worry about. Think about what you're doing and ask yourself if there's a cheaper way to do it. We live in a society where doing something the cheap way has this awful stigma, and that it's shameful in some way that is just ridiculous. So if you don't think some of these ideas are possible, stick to the end, and I bet that you'll find some that you can do. Also, I know that some of you may not have children or families, but some of that information can be valuable to you later on. So I'd still make a note of it. I'll start with one of the most obvious ones, downsizing. If you can't afford your home or apartment, or if you're having trouble living beneath your means, this is where you're going to save the most money. Move to a smaller place. We have a family of 5 living in a 2-bedroom house that is less than 1,000 square feet. However, I don't think of us as living in tight quarters. I see that we have a roof over our heads. Everyone has their own beds and space for their belongings. We have running water and a fridge and a stove and a dishwasher and a washer and dryer and so on. We can go for walks to nearby parks and sports fields. Really, we're living better than most kings and queens were living just several hundred years ago. Another way to save money on your mortgage payments is to dump PMI. PMI is private mortgage insurance that you are forced to pay if you haven't paid at least 20% of the principal of your home yet. It's essentially money down the drain. So get that 20% paid down as fast as possible and get rid of it. Another way to downsize is to live with just one car, or no car even. I've heard so many people tell me that they just couldn't possibly get by with one car, but it is totally possible. My husband and I got rid of our second car when our first child was born, and we always had the intention of buying a second one later on, but I don't know if we ever will now. We've managed so well with one, and all it takes is a little bit of extra planning. For example, if I need the car to go run errands or go to an appointment while he's at work, we'll plan to drop him off and pick him up, or he'll ride his bike to work. We're about 4 miles from his job, so he's actually run to work sometimes. If we absolutely both have to have the car at the same time, the chances are that one of us is going somewhere that other people we know will also be, and so we can catch a ride with somebody else. But that has rarely, if ever, happened. So now we're free of all the registration costs, maintenance, gas for another car, not to mention the cost of the car itself. Also, not having a second car makes it much easier to stay away from the stores, except when it's an absolute necessity. Kind of along the same lines of downsizing is liquidating. Go through your house and see what you don't need anymore that you could sell. Another idea is to learn how to cut hair. At the very least, learn how to cut your kids' hair. Girls' hair is so easy to cut, and they really don't need any fancy haircuts when they're little anyway. I had never cut hair before in my life, and now I have 3 boys. I bought some $25 hair clippers that come with all the accessories. I watched a few YouTube tutorials, and now I've been cutting their hair myself their entire lives. I'm not a professional, and it does not turn out completely perfect, but it looks good and passable, and no one is going to notice the difference, especially the child themselves. Nobody is looking that closely at your child's haircut. Don't pay for gym memberships. There are so many how to exercise from home methods out there. I personally have found that if I don't have the motivation to exercise from home, I don't have the motivation to do it at a gym either. And if you do have that motivation at a gym, I'm guessing you could do it just fine from home as well and save yourself some money each month. Another way to save money is doing free date nights. We found that it was kind of pointless to pay for babysitters so we could go out to dinner and talk to each other just like we would talk at home. Of course, we still do get babysitters, but as rarely as we can, and usually only when we're meeting up with other people. You can also start a babysitting rotation with another family, preferably one that has kids around the same ages that you do. Also, do free activities. Some of our funnest date nights have been right here at home. We've done stargazing from our driveway. One night we watched ballroom dance tutorials on YouTube and learned some dances. It's fun to do board games with stakes, like whoever loses has to do diaper changes the next day or something like that. This one is going to hurt a lot of people out there, but coffee, alcohol, and soda, those habits are killing you financially and probably physically too. Coffee and alcohol are both ridiculously expensive. I used to be shocked when I was a waitress to see how much money people would drop on alcohol compared to their meal. Sometimes the alcohol would cost 2 to 3 times more than the dish they were eating. Obviously, spending nothing at all on those things would be best, but if you absolutely have to feed the habit, at the very least, try to cut down. At restaurants, order water. It's all you really need. When I was pregnant with my 3rd child, I had these crazy soda cravings and I couldn't seem to get enough of it. I got completely addicted to it and it took a lot of work to get over that addiction, but I'm so glad I did. While we're at it, cigarettes. You've got to quit smoking or you'll be spending a fortune on that addiction as well. Cooking at home, I'll be the first to say that this is hard because I'm a terrible cook, but if you can make time for it and practice, you can do it. This is one of the benefits of staying at home with my kids because I have the ability to have home-cooked meals and prepare rather than always having to pick up fast food on the way home from work or something. Also, if you're able to make a menu and a shopping list from your menu, when you get to the stores, you know exactly what you need, so you're not grabbing random things off the shelves. The grocery stores are banking on you not having a list and being impulsive, so be prepared to put blinders on and get through that store with only the things you need. I hate making menus, so I devote one night a month to making an entire month's worth of menus so I don't have to worry about it again until the next month, and then I can just look at the menu I've already made and make a shopping list once a week from that, rather than having to do the menu and the shopping list at the same time. Also, eating smaller portions will make the food go farther and help you keep your weight down too. I'm not talking about starving yourself, but there was a period where Dave and I would be stuffing ourselves till we couldn't breathe, and eating smaller portions will make that food go farther. You can just eat until you're not hungry anymore. Also, filling up on rice and beans is going to be much cheaper, and if you can find a salad dressing that you really like, always have lettuce in the house and have salads with every meal, and that will help the expensive things like meat go a lot farther. So then furniture. This is one of the biggest wastes of money in my opinion. My dad always said that poor people can't afford to buy cheap things, meaning that sometimes long-lasting quality is going to be more financially smart than something cheap that will break on you and you'll have to replace. But I've found that with furniture, real wooden furniture lasts forever, and I mean forever. That means that if you can find something made of solid wood on Craigslist or at Goodwill, it's going to continue lasting forever for you. And this is the great thing about wood, you can paint it. I've bought so many furniture items off of Craigslist and repainted them, no sanding required, by the way, and they were a tiny fraction of the cost that brand new wooden furniture costs. Some things I don't like to buy used, like mattresses or couches, although there are some nice versions of those out there too, but most everything else, tables, end tables, nightstands, bookcases, dressers, bed frames, TV stands, lamps, you can find on Craigslist or at a thrift store as long as it's the right size and it's in good condition. You can paint it any color you want to match your home. My bed frame behind me was free from a friend and spray painted. This table over here is from Goodwill. Nightstands were one of my painting jobs, and the desk I'm sitting at was also Craigslist, although I didn't have to paint this one, thank goodness. I know this is getting long, so I'm going to take a break here. I have a lot more to cover, but I'll have to break it into a few videos because these are getting a little too long. So anyway, I'll be back in a few days to give you some more tips.